You were told to work hard, get good grades, get a stable job, put in the hours, and eventually you'll be rewarded. But here's the truth they didn't tell you. Hard work is not the path to wealth. It never was. And if you're still operating under that belief, you're playing a game you can't win. This is Luxona, where we speak the truths the masses will never hear. Because while they're grinding themselves into exhaustion, you'll understand the system, and you'll learn how the wealthy actually operate. Let's begin. Hard work is not a strategy. It's a social contract designed to keep you compliant. The modern economy doesn't reward effort, it rewards positioning. You can work 16-hour days for 30 years and still retire with nothing. Because the system isn't built to pay you for labor. It's built to extract it. Every dollar you earn through hourly wages or salaried employment is capped by design. Your output has a ceiling. Your energy has a limit. And no amount of hustle changes that fundamental constraint. The Industrial Revolution taught us to value productivity, to measure worth by output. But that model was designed for factory floors, not for wealth creation. The people who owned the factories became wealthy. The people who worked in them did not. And that dynamic has never changed. This isn't pessimism. This is economic reality. And understanding it is the first step toward financial freedom. Let's talk about scarcity. You have 24 hours in a day. If you trade time for money, you're selling a finite resource. And finite resources don't scale. A surgeon works hard. A lawyer works hard. A corporate executive works hard. But their income is still tied to their presence. They stop working. The money stops flowing. This is linear income. 1 unit of time equals 1 unit of money. Now compare that to ownership. A business owner builds a system once. It operates without them. It generates income while they sleep. An investor buys an asset. It appreciates. It compounds. It multiplies. This is exponential income. 1 unit of effort creates infinite returns. The difference is structural. Labor scales linearly. Capital scales exponentially. And the moment you understand this distinction, you stop optimizing for effort and start optimizing for leverage. The wealthy understand this distinction. They don't work harder. They work differently. Here's another truth. Inflation is eating your hard work alive. The official Consumer Price Index tells you inflation is around 3%. But real inflation, the kind you feel when you pay rent, buy groceries, or fill your car with gas, is closer to 8 to 10% annually. Your wages might grow 2 or 3% per year. But your cost of living is growing faster, which means every year you work hard, you're actually getting poorer. This is the treadmill. You run faster and faster, but the ground beneath you moves faster still. Housing prices have tripled in the last 2 decades. Education costs have quadrupled. Healthcare is increasingly unaffordable, but wages have barely moved. The gap between productivity and compensation has never been wider. You produce more value than ever before, but you capture less of it. This isn't an accident. This is policy. This is design. And you can't outwork a system designed to devalue your labor. The moment you realize this, everything changes. Because now you stop asking how to work harder, and you start asking how to think differently. The wealthy don't rely on effort. They rely on strategy. They don't trade time for money. They create assets that generate money autonomously. They don't work in the system. They own the system. Let's break this down. A wealthy person doesn't start a business to work in it. They start a business to own it. They hire people to operate it. They build systems to scale it. They use capital to multiply it. This is leverage, the ability to do more with less, to create disproportionate outcomes from minimal input. Think about this. A CEO might work 40 hours per week, but they control a company that generates millions in revenue. Because they're not trading their time, they're orchestrating systems, delegating decisions, allocating resources. Their value isn't in their labor, it's in their positioning. Hard work becomes a multiplier in this model, but it's never the foundation. The foundation is positioning, ownership, control, leverage. Wealthy people understand opportunity cost. They ask, what's the highest value use of my time? And they ruthlessly eliminate everything else. They don't do tasks. They design systems that complete tasks. They don't chase income. They build assets that produce income. These are the pillars of wealth, not effort. Here's where most people get stuck. They identify as workers, as grinders, as people who earn their place through sweat and sacrifice. And that identity becomes a cage. Because if you believe your value comes from how hard you work, you'll never stop working. You'll never build systems. You'll never invest in assets. You'll never step into ownership. You'll stay trapped in the cycle. Wealthy people think differently. They don't see themselves as laborers. They see themselves as architects, designers of systems, creators of value. They're not asking, how many hours can I work? They're asking, how can I create value that scales beyond me? This shift in identity is everything, because your beliefs shape your decisions, and your decisions shape your financial reality. Your self-image dictates your financial ceiling. If you see yourself as someone who trades time for money, you'll never escape that model. But if you see yourself as someone who builds systems, creates assets, and leverages capital, your entire trajectory changes. If you want to build wealth, you must stop glorifying the grind and start prioritizing leverage. So if hard work doesn't make you rich, what does? Let's talk about the real pillars of wealth. Leverage, the ability to amplify your output through capital, people, technology, or media. Leverage turns one action into 1,000 results. A single video reaches millions. A single product sells indefinitely. A single system operates autonomously. Ownership, equity in assets that appreciate. Businesses, real estate, intellectual property. Ownership is how you escape the time for money trap. When you own, you earn while you sleep. Creativity, the ability to solve problems in ways others can't. Creativity creates value, and value creates wealth. The market rewards novelty and effectiveness, not effort. Distribution, access to audiences, networks, and markets. You can have the best product in the world, but without distribution, it's worthless. Wealth flows to those who control attention. Reputation. Your name becomes a signal of trust and quality. Reputation opens doors that money can't buy. It creates opportunities before you even ask. Knowledge, understanding systems, money psychology, and strategy. Knowledge compounds. It's the ultimate asymmetric advantage. The more you know, the better decisions you make. And better decisions create exponential outcomes. Energy and alignment. You can't build wealth if you're burned out. Energy management is wealth management. Alignment ensures you're building something sustainable, not something that destroys you in the process. Decision-making, the ability to assess risk, delay gratification, and execute with precision. Wealthy people make better decisions, not because they're smarter, because they think longer term. They optimize for decades, not days. Systems, repeatable processes that generate consistent results. Systems remove you from the equation and allow your wealth to grow without you. These are the pillars. Not hard work, not hustle, not sacrifice. Strategy, leverage, ownership. So what do you do with this information? Here's your path forward. Build a skill, not just any skill. A skill that creates disproportionate value. Writing, speaking, selling, investing. Skills that scale. Skills that the market rewards infinitely. Build a brand. Your reputation is your most valuable asset. Start positioning yourself as someone who solves problems, as someone who creates value. Build in public. Document your journey. Let the market see your competence. Build a system, whether it's a business, a content engine, or an investment portfolio. Build something that works without you. Automate what can be automated. Delegate what can be delegated. Build an asset. Real estate, stocks, intellectual property. Something that appreciates and compounds. Assets produce passive income. And passive income is freedom. Build leverage. Hire people. Use technology. Access capital. Multiply your efforts. 1 hour of your work should produce 10 hours of results. That's leverage. Change your self-image. Stop identifying as a worker. Start identifying as a strategist, as an owner, as someone who creates wealth, not earns it. This identity shift unlocks everything else. Because the wealthiest version of you isn't working harder. They're thinking differently. This is the shift. And once you make it, everything accelerates. You've been sold a lie. That hard work is the answer. That effort equals reward. But now you know the truth. Wealth is not a product of how hard you work. It's a product of how intelligently you operate. The system rewards positioning, leverage, ownership, strategy. And now that you understand this, you're no longer playing the same game as everyone else. You're thinking like the wealthy, operating like the wealthy, and building a life that reflects that wealth mindset. This is what separates Luxonians from the masses. We don't follow the herd. We design our reality. We understand that financial freedom isn't earned through exhaustion. It's engineered through intelligence. Welcome to Luxona, where the wealthy come to grow.